Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Dr. Ivan Misner on the line. He's founder and chief visionary officer over at BNI, which stands for Business Network International. Ivan, welcome to the show.
Thanks. It's great to be on.
All right, so I'm excited to get into today's topic. So networking in the new normal, big topic, and to have somebody like you on the show who had such a large organization, I'm really excited to get your input on this. But before we do that, for those in the audience who maybe haven't heard of BNI yet, tell us a little bit more about the organization, please.
Sure. BNI is a business and referral marketing platform for businesses to generate referrals through word of mouth, through face-to-face networking. We have 9,500 groups in more than 70 countries around the world. Last year, the organization passed 12.3 million referrals. We generated for our members $16.7 billion with a B, $16.7 billion.
B, that's a big B, billion.
It's a big number. Just so you know, Adam, that's more than twice the gross domestic product for the country of Liechtenstein. Okay, it's a small country, amazing. But still, how cool
doesn't matter. That's cool.
Yeah. So we're a referral marketing platform for businesses, and of course, we've been around for 35 years. Been doing this a long time.
That's awesome, and glad to have you on the show, Ivan. So I want to get into today's topic. So networking in the new normal. So again, you've been in the business a long time. You've seen a lot. We're having a lot of changes, a lot of things going on right now. Where do you want to start with this topic?
Well, I think, and I've been talking about this now for a couple of years, that disruption is taking place throughout most businesses all around the world. And I saw disruption headed our way in networking a couple of years ago, and I wrote about it in an article at entrepreneur.com. Well, many companies have been disrupted over the last number of years. Kodak is a great example. Kodak invented the digital camera, and yet they owned the patent, and yet they licensed it to other people because they didn't want to take business away from their film producing and processing business. How'd that work out for them? Blockbuster is another great example. Blockbuster was on record saying that Netflix isn't even on our radar as competitors. And they had a chance to buy Netflix and decided not to twice. And now Netflix is the 600-pound gorilla and Blockbuster's out of business. So technology and change is constantly disrupting industries. And I saw that headed in our way with BNI a couple of years ago. The COVID virus kind of expedited that. I thought the disruption would take place because of the development of mixed reality, holographic technologies that make in-person meetings, make the online digital meetings much more effective. But after the COVID virus, we discovered that actually it can work to do networking via an online platform, and we transitioned all 9,500 of our groups to online, at least throughout the term of the COVID lockdown.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing, and what a Herculean task! 9,500 groups. That's no joke. That's not just for everybody. That's not 9,500 people. That's groups.
Yeah, 270,000 people, 9,500 weekly meetings transitioned to online, and we did it, really quickly. Because we really wanted to make sure that our members continued to generate business. And last month alone, the organization generated over $1 billion worth of business. While most businesses were in lockdown, they're still doing referrals through the online platform. So it's been very exciting to see us make that change and not be disrupted by horrible events that were taking place.
That truly is amazing. And what has been because you have a really unique vantage point because a lot of the people, I mean, I'm very familiar with BNI, and there's some, and I remember, back in the day when I was an advisor, not been in media for a long time, but when I remember, there was maybe some of our older school members that didn't want to go online or they want to do that. And now I'm just kind of curious, what has been the response just in general from the organization? I mean, we're obviously seeing results based on those numbers you just gave us, but what has been the overall feel?
Overwhelmingly supportive, given the alternative. I think it would have been a lot more difficult if it was a gradual necessity. But necessity is the mother of invention, and it happened so quickly that the transition took place very, very fast. Now that said, there are always some holdouts. Some people maybe like me with a lot of gray hair that were very resistant. I'll tell you a true story. I had a chapter president come up to me and say, I got this one baby boomer, she said, who just, it was difficult to get him to just put the referrals online, but to meet, he just is dragging his feet. And I said to her something that I don't usually tell presidents to say. I said, tell him this. Tell him Ivan said he hates change. Seriously. I hate change. The only thing I hate more than change is failure. And so he can change or he can fail. The choice is his. You can't make him change. He's got to be willing to change. And tell him that you're there to help him to make that change. And I'm really pleased to hear that he did, in fact, make that change, and he is on board and meeting online. And that's really the situation we're in. We can change or we can fail. And I vote for change.
Oh, same here. I love it. And I mean, and this may be the optimist in me, and I'm curious if you have any numbers. You may not. I mean, when we're recording this, we're kind of in the middle of this big transition. But to me, I think it expands the market. I think in general for virtual, whether it's networking, whether it's an event, whether it's a conference, I think it expands the market, and maybe people that wouldn't have necessarily participated in the past for whatever reason. Could be children, could be whatever the time constraint, doesn't matter. Could be where they live, geography, lots of different things. I just see that there's a lot of opportunity there now.
Oh, I think there's massive opportunity, and I would not be surprised as time goes on if we don't end up in a hybrid system for some period of time where we're meeting both in person and virtually. And that combination, I think, will help our organization and other networks make a transition particularly as new technologies evolve. And the new technologies are evolving. There was a report a couple of years ago from Linden Lab that predicted that virtual meetings will become as commonplace as the iPhone within 5 to 10 years. And that was just 2 years ago. So, pretty soon we might be having meetings like, the Jedi Knights in Star Wars, where there's a Jedi and a holographic Jedi and a real Jedi. When we get to that point, by the way, Adam, I want to be Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I'm in. I don't care. I just want to be there. I'm in. I'll podcast. It's going to be, I'm like, are you ready for the interview? Let me hit my button, and you're going to see a little hologram pop up in your office. You're like, what's this guy doing here? I'm in. I love it, and I see it happening, and I think I think it's a really interesting thing because to me, it's the overall theme here is that there's that connectivity, that emotion, a lot of the things that maybe at one point, I'll just say myself, my personal bias, a lot of things that I didn't think were possible in the past, like building a meaningful relationship, like building trust, like building a connection with another human being that you've never met in person. Now, I mean, our workforce, we're all around the world, so I have these relationships now with people that I've never met. I mean, it's changed completely my perspective on what's possible.
Yeah, and doesn't that open the potential clientele that you can generate for your business? I mean, unless you're in a business like a medical professional, and even then they can do a lot virtually. But
telehealth
there are so many businesses
telehealth
now.
Was forced the same way that BNI was forced. I mean, the same thing. So telehealth's exploding. Go ahead. Sorry.
Absolutely true. No, you're absolutely right. I just did a Zoom meeting with my medical professional just a couple of weeks ago, and that was absolutely unheard of with this particular office, months back. So I think it opens up the marketplace for people that recognize and embrace the change and are at the leading edge of this change. They'll actually end up much more successful than those people that are still stuck in fear. You know, when there's a lot of change, when there's any disruption, I find that people tend to go two ways, one of two ways. They either get frozen in fear or they get focused by fear. And that focus enables them to work their way through change and be a leader in the industry as time goes on. And I think that the more people that do that, the more likely they are to get through disruption successfully.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Ivan, that being said, if somebody's listening to this and they want to connect and they want to learn more about BNI and your team, I mean, what's the best way for them to reach out and to get info?
Well, BNI.com is the website for the organization, and you can find out where chapters meet either virtually or online. We're still geographically based, so you can connect with somebody within local regions, even if it's online. And of course, I have a website, ivanmisner.com, with 13 years of content, all free for people on networking and building their business. So it's my blog. I have a lot of videos there. It's all free content there.
Fantastic. Well, Ivan, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about, of course, BNI, but also all the great work that you're doing and with these virtual conferences. I mean, what a task. 9,500 groups, to over 250,000 people converted to online meetings virtually overnight. I mean, that's quite an amazing thing, and glad to hear that you had a successful month and it's all growing. So all great stuff there. To the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. Love to know what kind of things and projects that you're working on. And Ivan, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Adam.